Hey everybody, welcome to the Appendix N Itch Jam Awards. Here we are. Dramatic music, orchestra stuff, zooming shots of celebrities in tuxedos. I'm here joined by Tony Vasinda, Sam O'Malley, and Jordan. You don't really go by your last name. I wasn't gonna say your last name.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's fine. I was gonna say Jordan with the PH, but then I realized I said the full names for the other two people, so that would be weird. But then I was like, but he doesn't really use his last name. Anyway,
I'm
we're
still caught on
here.
the celebrities in tuxedos, and I can't wait to find out at the end of the stream where we unmask Skirples.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's going to be
Uh,
crazy.
Sam, I got a question for you. Who has, that slow motion whip around camera?
Uh-huh.
Which RPG individual do you think has the worst slow-mo whip around camera on the red carpet? Where they, have to do the little move, little flex, and also why is it Yohai? I mean, that's the other question.
Well, it's because there's a slow motion camera could not catch him.
Yeah,
is why.
that's
Mm.
that's a
He
good
moves too
answer.
quickly. He barrels through a crowd like no one I've ever seen. And honestly, it's to be led by his hand is a truly rewarding experience if you're trying to move from one end of Gen Con to another.
Excellent.
You know, the only Gen Con I've been to is not one that he was at, and now I feel bad. I wish I could have had that experience
You
with
you wanted him to
We
take
only
your hand and
take me
lead you through.
lead me through the crowd, please. Ah.
Gen Con is really about experiencing the press of unlimited human flesh.
50,000
That's also
souls.
that's also the
70.
title of my next
Oh.
Appendix N adventure: The Press of Unlimited Human Flesh.
Wow. Don't.
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Put it on the list. Put it on the list.
But yeah, I put that title in
Start
there.
that list now.
So hey everybody, thanks for joining up to watch the stream. We appreciate you being here. We're gonna be periodically checking chat. So if you have questions, maybe we'll look to answer them, hopefully. Yeah. Oh, Bad Quail Games is in chat. Nice. Matthew Sargent also in chat. Very cool. Undead Mole. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about the winners of the contest, one of which you people at home already know because it is the audience choice winner. And again, we'll get to that later, but a little just so you won't be surprised at that point. You just look at the itch page, you'll see what it is. But before we get into that, we're going to be talking generally about the jam and some of our judges' picks that didn't make it into our first and second place, but that we still love and just want to take a moment to talk about. Um, and I think starting for a bird's eye view here, we did our last stream where we talked about where we were hoping to see at this jam, and I want to ask um, everybody except Jordan because he's cold, and I want to have him speak. He has a cold. I want to have him speak as little as possible to save his
He
voice.
might be cold too. I don't know. He's
His
wearing
ice
like a little
powers are
jacket,
manifesting.
so I
Sure.
think he's probably
Well, you
fine.
could have the chills depending on how bad the illness is.
Doesn't
So,
look that bad.
okay. Yeah. He's
He's
probably
got all the
fine.
stage makeup and on everything. He doesn't even look sickly or pale or anything.
He looks great. He looks great.
Yeah.
But anyway, so mostly I'm going to be asking Tony and Sam. You guys were looking for certain things going into the jam. Did you see that overall? Were you happy that people took that information to heart? Were you surprised to see things you weren't expecting? Or were you more frustrated than not when looking through entries?
All of the
Please,
above.
Tony.
Yeah. I spent one evening, an afternoon and evening reading my primary entries and live tweeting mild to mild hot takes
Oof.
about that over on Blue Sky. So you can go. I think the hashtag I used was Judgment Day. And I may have been intoxicated at the time a little bit also too. So my scoring read through, not my initial read through, has some posterity out there. But I will say within that, like, is the synthesis of all those things. I think my big takeaway is actually almost more like what surprised me that I didn't know I wanted when I started sitting down to read 50 plus 4-page adventures, right? Like, I think there's a lot of things we all know we're looking for when we look at a zine or when we're thinking about our table or our players. And depending on how much you improvise or want to fill in as a GM or how much as a publisher you're going to help guide that process. Like those are very different things than just consuming rapid fire 50 short adventures plus all the other ones that you read on top of that. So I think it's really interesting to kind of see what stood out to me and what a lot of people skipped. But like for me, playability was high. Overall visual presentation was important, but for a jam, like I didn't expect something. One of my personal favorites that didn't even make the finalist, like one of the things that really stood out to me was this like somebody just drew something on a sheet and copied it into an otherwise fully laid out thing because that's what they could figure out, right? I loved seeing little things like that. I was really surprised how much seeing somebody not add in mechanics, like people wrote some things system agnostic and other things, like in a more general, for a more general system. But when people would drop a really smart procedure in, like I would get really excited. Like I would love when there was something a little chewy about the adventure I was reading, or here's a thing that you're doing that no matter what system you're using, here's how you're going to navigate an additional part of this adventure. Like those things got me really excited, and I really enjoyed kind of getting to dive into those specifically. So yeah, it was interesting to kind of see what stood out at me that I wanted, and then procedures like were one of the things I was most excited about, and like along with the playability aspects. So that's a big, broad, meandering answer. Sam.
Well, I went into this saying that I wanted to see things that were very playable and specifically a big dungeon guy, dungeons that had lots of knobs to twist and interactable environments and rooms that felt more than just tours and were like, actually like, like a toy box that you could play in. And there was definitely a good amount of that I saw. Like, this is the thing. It's like when you have something like this, so many of the entrants are going to be people that are writing like their first ever dungeon module, which is incredible. I love that. Everybody, like the core of this hobby is making stuff for yourself to run with your friends. And I think it's great that so many people are trying their hand at that first. I definitely saw some of the pitfalls that I was worried about, but like this is what happens when you first start doing things. And I think that that's amazing. I yeah, I think I saw a lot of stuff that like, I mean, I think it's fair to say that we were pretty down to the wire when it came to choosing what we thought was the best because there were a lot of really good things that all could have been like the best in, various contexts. I think we all learned a lot about like what constitute what elements ended up meaning more at the end of the day than others and like what things we were all looking for. But yeah, I mean I was really impressed. I love to see people just like drawing. I love to see people drawing stuff and writing stuff that isn't perfect but is interesting. Like it's just like that's better to me than something like ultimately really polished is something that's giving me something that I haven't seen before or like an interesting idea to chew on. Even if that adventure like didn't make the cut ultimately, there are so many things that like looking through these, I was like, oh, I'm totally gonna steal that for like a game when I run. Like, and there were just so many things like that, which is cool.
Nice. Yes. To your point about people drawing things, man, I was so charmed by cartoons. There's so much great art of people hand drawing stuff, and some of it was
Yes.
just like person's not a professional artist, but it's just so charming the way they would do it. And I'm like, this is great. I love this. It's so cool. And there's a
There's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, there's an amazing feeling that you get when you see somebody that draws something that obviously drawing is not their main thing, but it's inverse to the amount of disgust you get when you find out that something was AI.
Yes.
Um, that feeling of betrayal where you're like, I liked this for like a second, and then I looked at the hands or whatever, and you're like, oh, I guess this is just designed in a lab for me to like conglomerately like this. Whereas, like, if somebody who like in a self-professed way is like, I don't draw, and they draw something, that's a little piece of them that I get to partake in a beautiful way. And I
Mhm.
think that that is a thing that people don't think about as much when they maybe run to the robots with their problems. But the robots can't help you; they will just make us dislike you.
Yeah. No, whenever I saw stuff like hand-drawn stuff like that where it was clear that this person was not an artist, but they were just going out there and they were doing it, that like made me want to rate that higher because I was like, yeah, good for them. They're like being vulnerable and doing this and it's working for me.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
core of this hobby.
Yeah.
Right?
Like it's like when you think about things, when you think about like the first pieces of D&D art, they were literally traced from Marvel Comics. Like you have to respect that part of it, the hustle, and just like I don't know, it's just like this is so many people's like first foray into art making, and I think that's one of the things that makes this hobby incredible.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
mean,
Totally.
we did. I mean, the shadow side of this is like there were things I read, and I mean, this is more negative than I normally am. But Sam and I both talked about like there were ones that like kind of established, oh, like this is not great. Like when we were reading it, like there were, but here's the deal: like I was so happy to read not great dungeon. Like I was so excited to read someone's first dungeon that they made in a month, that they got done, that they got out in the world, that they can play test, that they can build from, that they can do something with. And I would read a million bad human dungeons before I willingly read one AI dungeon that was fine. Like so I mean like it takes a type of risk to do any of these to make things public, and a lot of jams aren't judged, a lot of jams aren't evaluated even by peers. And so knowing other people are going to be looking at this stuff critically and still doing it on top of that and having that work, I think is such a huge win for everyone in the community and shows a lot of strength of what comes
Yeah.
out like this.
It takes cast iron guts to do something like that, and I
Um,
applaud all of you.
Yeah,
Also, since
totally.
since I'm a professional streamer, I did ask chat what they saw and what stood out to them. You can find me at youtube.com/plus1exp. You people said they were really looking for things to quote Brad Kerr that made their blood sing. Malachi
Yeah.
said people were really excited about some of the systems being used. Specifically, got shouted out Trophy Gold, which was really fun to see. Amanda and Josh Demansky both did those. Amanda's in the chat watching. And Clayton says, I regret not going the doodle route. I really liked your art also, Clayton. I don't want you to feel bad. Oh my gosh, I'm now a standard thread moderator for this channel.
I do
So-
think that there is
It's
we
happening.
talked we sung the praise of the doodles, but I also want to say like for everybody that got out there and like hustled around and found the like pieces of like, found like art and things like that, it's a skill too. And like being able to put anything together in a month is just like I mean that's why jams are cool. It's like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day you've made something and you finished something, and I can tell you finishing something is so much more important than working on something forever. Like if you have a project right now out there, this is a quick PSA to all you creative types. If you have a project right now that you've been working on for anything more than 2 years, finish it. Let it
Yeah.
be done so you can learn something from it. You can't learn something from something that you haven't finished yet. It's just the way it works. It's the way we're wired.
And
Yeah, anyone who's ever published something has learned that lesson. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
well, and here's like one of my favorite creators to work with, who a lot of people I think look at as a really designer, Viditi Letty. Like Viditi gets terrified when it comes to putting stuff to print, but like even when you print stuff out, even when you put stuff out in the world, like you can come back to it and change it and update it. You can play that thing more. If you print 200 zines and you love the thing and you share the thing and people buy the 200 zines, you can go print another 200 zines and make all the changes you want to make on that second round. Like games are iterative and they grow and change and live, and it's really cool to see that kind of stuff come out of things like this.
So to the quick thing about image collage, I think I'm going to talk about this later when we go through our judges picks, but yeah, there were some people who found a bunch of cool public domain or other art resources and just like collaged them up. And I didn't run into a lot of those, but I was always delighted when I saw them, and there were some really fun examples of that as well. But yeah, another thing I want to just mention is that I was really surprised by when I was reading these is how many of them actually had functionality, like random functionality in them so that they could be replayable, which with a 4-page zine project, I did not expect at all. And I was like delighted when I found stuff like that. I thought that was extremely impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are a few that were pretty, even the ones that were not linear paths did a really good job of putting something in there that made it really interesting. But I would say there were a ton of them where they were totally freewheeling and provided really wild creativity for how it could go every single time you play.
Mhm. Totally. Um, all right. Let's see, was there anything else in chat we wanted to mention, or do we want to move on to highlighting
Yeah. Somebody
some
named
work?
Jordan says they struggle with layout and we're really impressed by how people formatted this.
No, I
Yeah.
just layout in general. I don't know. And there were so many people that did just columns, but there were a lot of variations in that. And
Oh yeah.
it like where does your eye flow as you're reading this document? And I thought they did a great job. Like there were a lot of those that really was like I've never seen that before. So
The
I was
different
reading
ways
it so
people
you
did
didn't have to
maps.
talk.
I know, but
Yeah.
I want to chime in. Why not?
Yeah, the different ways people did maps were all super impressive in this. I was super happy with a lot of those.
The cover,
Lots.
the front and back cover text specifically needs to get
Yes.
shouted out because there are a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I have 4 pages and one. I'm encouraged to make one of them a cover." Well, here's what I'm going to do with my cover in order to make that work, front or back. Like lots of
Yeah.
really sharp things.
I know I talked about this in the first stream, but I guess it continued, so I'm going to reiterate it. And because it was mentioned in chat a little bit here, is just that, like, yes, this community has been great. There have been so much support, especially when the jam ended and people were like judging stuff. Like there was like a competition in the Discord to see how many entries people could read through and rate, and that was super awesome. So I think, yeah, I don't know how many ratings we ended up getting at the end of the day. It was like thousands. It was a lot. So that was cool. It's just nice to see people being creative and supporting each other and lifting each other up, because that's like the best of sort of the self-publishing community. That I was just like, if everything else in this whole jam had gone wrong, but we still had that, I would be like, yes, this was worth doing. I loved it.
The community aspects were great. I'll throw this question out now, though we can come back to it later. Stick it in the back of your head. Arcane Sporcery said they're curious if the answer is brief. What a few of the reviewers' personal Appendix N would have, and so yeah.
Oh, like our personal one for the purposes,
or what? Just I think what influences your work. But think about that. We can maybe that's a good like closing it out question. If
Sure.
I were to say it again at the end.
Nice. All right. But yeah, let's get into some of the judges' picks. Jordan, are you ready?
I am ready. Which one do you want to start with?
That's a good question. I want to talk about. Let's talk about one title that we hemmed and hawed over quite a bit. Let's talk about Grendel's Grasp.
I don't have that one yet. Hang on.
Wow.
You tell us any of the non-winners that you have ready to go, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
one of them.
No, I got it right. I think I can get it pretty fast.
We've made Jordan download so many PDFs and get them up on screen in preparation
and
for
we
the
made
stream.
Jordan do it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was 20 minutes ago.
We were really mean, especially since he's sick. I can't believe we've treated Jordan this way.
I can believe it. We
Oh,
just
okay.
shouldn't.
Yeah, no, we can chat. It's coming up.
Okay. But yeah, so there were how many? So we took all of these entries and then we narrowed them down into what was like 25, I think, somewhere around that. And then we just argued a lot over which would be the winners out of that group. And it was good. It was really tough because of that group. We were just like, wow, all of these are amazing. There's no bad ones in here at all. Um, yeah. Oh, we got Grendel's Grasp up. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. Let's talk about it. In Grendel's Grasp.
This is a cool module because it's got a really good central mechanic.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of good dungeons have this. I think it's a very Zelda-like thing to do with the dungeon, but the kind of Zelda-like thing that I think translates really well to tabletop, which I think as modern tabletop RPG designers, it's important to understand that while we will be influenced by video games a lot because they're there and we're playing them, not all of the things from all of them work within a tabletop setting. But I
Mhm.
think you've got this big thing that you have to carry out of the dungeon with you. And as I said before, I think the best sort of OSR like gimmick is you have to carry a couch through Mordor. And I think this is basically what we're getting with Grendel's Grasp.
And I can't wait till that shirt drops on betterlegends.com. Best website on the internet.
It's coming up soon. That might be a bumper sticker. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a party carrying a couch through Mordor would be really a really good bumper. Yeah, I really love this one. Again, we're talking about like the proceduralization, like that little thing that you put in there, that juicy nugget, and this is like carrying the skull, right? And this one through the dungeon. There's things that happen if you fought. Like if you drop it. There's the other thing I want to point out about this one that is true of a lot of things that made the finals and a lot of submissions generally, 'cause it's a popular system. But I do want to shout out Karen as specifically something we saw a lot of really strong entries come through with. I do think the style guide of Karen, the way that information is presented in it, is really intentional. It's really helpful. It's really useful. And I think that actually really helped people who were using that system do really good information present. Because every single time there was an adventure I read where I was like, man, all these entries are really well done. And it was pretty easy to tell, even before I scrolled back up to look at the top or at the bottom, like that it was going to be a Karen adventure because it has a really strong way to. And Grendel's did that great.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump to another one?
Yeah, let's jump to another one. What do you? So I picked the first one. Sam, what would you want to throw up there?
Of those 10 that we were talking about?
Yeah, of any of the judges' picks that we made, Jordan download in 10 minutes.
I really liked Mountain of Power.
Oh, the Mountain of Power.
All right, coming up. Hang on.
Also, I want to
Power.
remind people, if you're watching and your information if we talk about your adventure right now, that doesn't mean you didn't win, which is just that sad moment. So we just want to let you know, if we're talking about it right now, these are finalists, but not the ultimate victors. And
Yes.
so,
Yeah, these were the judges' picks that made that final group list that we then debated harshly over to figure out which was going to be, or which two were going to be first and second place. So we're building up to it, you know. But the Mountain of Power, strong color theme. There were actually two adventures we had in our final list that I think had strong color themes, but Mountain of Power is definitely the first that comes to mind, the brightest for sure.
Very bright. It has an amazing map.
Yes.
Which I think spending a lot of time on a map when you've only got 4 pages is a really good idea. I tended to lean towards things where it's like you don't have a lot of space for like spot illustrations when you're doing a project like this, and I think spending that time making the map like the artwork that you're making for it, I think is really smart. It's really easy to navigate. I think overall this dungeon gave me a lot of the juice that I'm looking for when it comes to like capital D dungeon. It's got a cool sort of mechanic going with all of this like electrical work stuff. Everything is really tightly on theme within that. It's just a cool place to go. And it gave me a little bit of that. I'm going to keep bringing up Zelda because I talk about it all the time in reference to dungeons, but it gave me a little bit of that Zelda puzzle thing that I am always sort of looking for, where you're like trying to connect circuits. And I think a lot of times with dungeons, you'll be really successful if you give people something to play with that they inherently understand a little bit. Like people understand like how a circuit works in its most basic sense of like this needs to connect to that, and then that's the puzzle, and then that's like that gets their brains going and gets their juices flowing. And making puzzles like that sort of simple but like could be complicated within that framework is a really really smart way to go, I think.
Um, the economy of presentation on this one overall, I think, may have been one of the stronger entries. Even within the finalists, right? Like there is so much to do, but that is not by putting a whole lot in here. It's about choosing the right things to have on it, and then making that one thing run through higher, right? Because like system mastery is fun, but like the procedural mastery of a specific adventure or dungeon is a lot of fun too. And that translates a lot better than do I love a system? Because a lot of these, again, if you drop them in any system, you're going to be able to play around with it and have fun. And once it lets players feel really smart to figure out how to do things within that space, and it's just yeah, there's such a like deep level of for that. I think this one did a great job with it.
100%. Yeah. Um, uh, Jordan, did you have one that you wanted to call up?
That we'll talk about.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have to talk about it.
I
Save your voice. Just give us one.
This good.
I really loved Ghost Walkers of
Yeah.
Joel or Joel.
Gyol.
Joel.
There you go.
Let's talk about. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that one because it was also one of the few pamphlet formats. Like there were a handful of them, and they were all pretty well done.
It
But
has
was
a
excellent.
real banger of a hook, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that one, and like the cover grabs you because it's excellent art, just in terms of like information delivery. Like we've got the skull, but then with the waterfalls like reflected in the helmet, and the swords are there. Speaking to Sam's hook, there's just swords coming down the waterfall. What's up with that?
Yep.
And yeah, and it's cool, and it's very thematic. It's very Nordic. It's nice.
Yeah,
I
this
love
is
I
a-
love a skull on the front of something. You know it's OSR when there's a skull.
That's true.
on the
Absolutely.
front.
And maybe
Yeah.
it's because I'm reading a lot of Mothership stuff, but the pamphlet style totally sold me as well. Like I love that I could just have that in my backpack, and it's, I don't know, I really like everything about this. It was super fun.
There are
The
a lot
mystery
of ways
of it was great.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that pamphlets are cheating. One of them is that you can do about 8 A5 pages of information on the same space because of the way you're utilizing the page better. You can just do a whole lot more with it, and this like it does such a great job. Like Ghostwalker's just a killer job. We're gonna talk about this later, but I can't remember the creator. Who's the creator at the top?
Oh, it's Maxime Lowe.
Maxime. Maxime. Because it is not an A5, we can't put it in the anthology that we'll talk about a little bit later. But if you wanted to do a print of this, I would be totally down to release it alongside appendix stuff. So I'll reach out afterwards, but feel free to message.
A couple things I want to point out in this that I really liked. The fact that there is like an overland map and a dungeon map, and they're both really readable and like small and like fit right in there. Really nice. Also, the fact that they have the random the random tables where you see the dice icons for what numbers to roll. I don't know why, but that gets me. I just thought it was fun.
Yeah. Can we zoom in on the overland map? Because I mean, the dungeon map is excellent, and I really like the simple shape of it for a 5-room, but the overland map, the one not down in the bottom middle, is just so like so captivating and so simple. Like I think a lot of people really struggle with information delivery on an overland map, and I think this one does a really strong job of just not only communicating locations in relationship to each other, but also giving you a really strong thematic tie-in. Like this feels like the kind of thing that you would like find on a hide, like somewhere on a Viking battleship. like
Mm.
describing where it gets like it feels very, I mean, obviously the blue ink, maybe not, but like the overall like quick suggestibility of it and other important things nearby, like is just really strong and does a lot with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got great verticality, which I really like, that you don't see super often in overland maps. You see more in your dungeon maps, so I was impressed by that. Yeah, it's great. There's so much cool stuff in here. I like it. Good pick, Jordan.
Um, yeah. Any other thoughts on this one?
I mean, I think it does a really good job at bringing the characters in, especially like I said before. I think the hook is amazing. It's just like swords gushing over a waterfall. Like there's a thing that happens when you utilize lots and lots of swords, and it makes people want to play the game. So I
Yeah.
think that's an important thing to remember.
Something Brad has learned a long time ago.
I was
Yes.
gonna say it's got some serious Brad Kerr Temple of a Thousand Swords energy. And it's a good lesson to learn, I think.
Mhm. So Tony, what would you want to take a look at
Oh,
here?
I'm torn because I got a couple of loves that I'd love to shout out. Let's look at Umbriel's monitor. I know we already downloaded the PDF. Can we look at the itch page also, Jordan? Is that an easy enough thing to do? If it's going to be a
Yeah.
pain in the ass, don't do it. I'll just tell people to go look at it. 'Cause
Let's tell people to go look at it then, because I'd
Yeah.
have to share another window.
Let me I will even grab it, and if I can I'll put it in the chat because it is one of the reasons I fell in love with it. This was one of the ones I championed through to the end. But I really love what they did, and some of what I love what they did is not actually in the design itself, but in their positioning of it around the context of Appendix. This is
Mm.
system neutral. It's by Coffee All Night Games. We talked through this a little bit more. Like as somebody who's a big improv heavy GM, this is a lot of what I look for. It could probably use a little bit more detail. I think it would have made it. I think it would have made it up to the very top had we had a little bit more detail, especially in the second part. But I remember the conversation of this person getting their name and not knowing what to do with it and going into the Discord. Like I even before we knew who was judging what, I remember the first thing I saw the person who created this. Right. And it was like, I don't know what the hell to do with the name for my thing, which was a lot of people. But it's like what they ended up doing was creating a fictional series of books by an an author named Cynthia Gorm. I'm going to sort of read you the itch page entry. When most people think of the Mallory Dash series by Cynthia Gorm, the one that almost always comes to mind is Song of the Sunset, which is by all rights a fantastic book. But the one that captured my young imagination the most was Umbriel's Monitor. It was less straightforward than the other entries in the series, 23 books in all. It had a nuance that most readers did not see coming. Almost every villain turned out to be a victim of circumstance more than anything else. The spider people of Wunda were frightening at first, but then came to Mallory's rescue when the apes attacked. And it just goes on like it's like they have created an entire fictional universe for their Appendix N fake book that is part of a 23 book series of things and dropped it in. And I'll be honest, like it can't be judged based on those merits, but I can't think of something more thematically into Appendix N than I made up a whole fictional fucking world of books to talk about the fantasy adventure that I'm writing. And it really like it just hit me really like beautifully from the get-go. The art for the cover, which is again also not one of their 4 pages, but they put it on the itch page, is Perplexing Ruins artist doing a lot of heavy lifting, has a great vibe to it. And then again, I could play a short to long campaign in Umbriel's Monitor with a lot of different adventure things, just with the stuff it has there. I would have to add a lot more detail to be zoomed in and out on any location. But this is one I fell in love with early on, and just really, really loved seeing as an idea within the jam.
I think it has one of the strongest sort of thematic like ties, like both to the Appendix N. I'm a big proponent of getting the peanut butter of fantasy into the chocolate of science fiction.
Mhm.
And I think that this one did that really, really well. Yeah, I wanted to see. I really just wanted it to be longer. In a very selfish way, I wanted it to just be like a 16-page adventure, because I think there's so much cool stuff in this. It's a great initial idea. I think there's a lot of cool stuff
If
happening.
only we knew a games publisher, and if we encourage people to take their ideas and continue to develop them. If only any of those things were true.
No one like that exists, and we certainly wouldn't let them on the YouTube channel if they did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's but yeah, no, to talking about Appendix N. So there was one of the rating criteria, right, was theme. And the little blurb I gave next to that for when people were rating was like, does this feel like something that would have appeared in the Appendix N, right? And yeah, wow. This might be the top entry in terms of that category for like everything we read, because I was just reading it and I'm like, oh, this is a Jack Vance story. Like you could have just said that this was adapted from a Dying Earth story and I would have believed you. Or
Yeah.
or like a lay bracket or something. It fits in like a glove with the stuff that you see in the Appendix N. So really my hat's off to them in terms of that, for
You know,
sure.
it's like Mallory Dash from the series always says, you don't really know a stone until you turn it over, which is just a fucking fake made up quote on the page.
It's good. I do
Uh,
appreciate the commitment to the bit,
Yeah. Yeah, no.
much
Really
like
good.
everybody making covers for this thing, which was not initially
yeah.
that was like sort of like a hive mind decision of everyone's just like, well, the best part of those old pulps though is the covers, so we got to have those. And I mean, I love that.
Yeah, there was a lot of me throughout the course of the jam running answering the same question, which was, "Wait, we need to have a cover, right?" And I was like, "No, you don't. I mean, it's cool, but you don't need to. You really don't need to."
Yeah.
This is what happens when you want to do advertising for your thing, and you're like, "Oh, what's visually interesting? Okay, I'll make fake covers." And everyone's like, "Oh, we need to make fake covers." And I'm like, "Well, okay, sure, that's cool. I appreciate it. I love them. There were so many good ones. But then I also felt bad because then I felt like I was making people have to do that, like as if I had made a rule to do that, even though I didn't make a rule to do that. And with the limited page count, I don't know. I lost sleep over it. I was like, oh no, what have I done? Um, but the next one I want to talk about, briefly mentioned, just because it's I love it. It's wacky. It's the Hermetic Order of Dis. Let's just look at that real quick.
It was a real standout in the finalist also too.
Mhm.
I want to hear what your thoughts on it were. Was that one that came from you, or was that somebody else's? That one you were judged originally?
That was one that I judged originally. And I had run into a couple of entries that were like had this kind of image collage stuff. And I think this was like the third or fourth one I had run into like that. And some of the other ones I hadn't liked as much. So I was ready to be like, ah, another one of these. But then I was like, oh, actually, this is delightful. So, like, just the cover, or not the cover, but the first page with the three images of like different skeletons that have been composited together is great, and the little fish. Also, I also was primed to not like this because it uses, I think that's papyrus font for its
Oh
title,
yeah, it
and
is.
I was like, no, no, I can't do it. And
The
then I started reading.
Avatar,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Avatar font.
It's a
yeah.
classic sin.
Hmm. And but then I started reading it, and like not only was the art very charming in the way that the collage was done, but the writing was also very charming and like fun and thematic. We got the sea sort of dungeon, we got all these skeletons, we got all the salt. The dungeon map is great, even though it's a lot more papyrus font and like not super readable in certain ways, but it's really great in terms of its verticality, in terms of like what parts are illustrated and how they use symbols. How things are labeled is really cool. And a lot of the layout choices on that same page, where it's like what is happening, who you're facing, how magic works, where you are, is just very like, again, it feels like quirky, but it works really nicely to me.
Sometimes when you go into a restaurant, and you sit down at the table and you get a certain kind of menu
Mm-hmm.
that is a little bit ugly, the food's gonna be really good.
Yep.
And that's ultimately how I felt about this, where it's like many of the decisions were made actively, were like sort of rubbing uh, just against my skin in a very unpleasant way. However, the content of it, I think, was excelsior. Really good dungeon, really cool. Just over like the theme, the actual like the layout of the dungeon itself was done in like a really neat way that was sort of combining yeah, like a cross section map and a top down map, and it had a lot of treasure at the end, which, listen, all I'm going to say is that, like, not everything is for a gold for XP system, but I do really appreciate that when you have a gold for XP system, you have an appropriate amount of treasure at the end, so that I feel like maybe I could level up. And I got that from this. It was cool. Also, I like skeletons, and there were a lot of those in this. So well
and
done.
I like, on the skeletons point, I love how we have the image collage, right? And but then not only do we see that visually, but then the tables reinforce that, because it's like make your own skeleton. And I loved it. It was so
Yeah,
much fun to read.
yeah.
Very cool. But uh but okay, with that, we're kind of back to let's do another like lightning round here, because we're coming up on we have about 15 minutes before the end of the hour, and I don't want to keep everybody here a long time. So let's do a lightning round of some other judges picks, just skip through some, maybe name a couple titles and not make Jordan put them all up on the screen.
Sure.
And then we'll get into our winners here. So yeah, Sam, what are some other titles that stood out to you in no particular order?
Okay. I've got one I want to take a quick moment to talk about. It's called The Norn's Judgment.
Ooh.
Check it out. It's 23 levels of like a mega dungeon squeezed into 4 pages, which it was the kind of thing that I saw it and I like put my hands on my hips and I was just like, okay, if you say so. And then reading it, I was like, actually, this is, if you're gonna do this, this is the best possible way to do it. And I thought it was a really cool, just overall idea. Like it really got me. Just like a shout out to like cool layout, and if nothing else, like a really good way of like sort of sparking cool ideas for like a more fleshed out, completed dungeon. Another one that I really liked, that I'm looking at the thing now. Oh, Dream Journey of the Zimri. That was one. I
Ooh.
don't usually like dreams in things. I think a lot of times they don't work as well as you want them to. I think this was actually a really sick little dungeon, that utilized his dreams and sleeps. It's for Shadow Dark, and just check it out. It's I really enjoyed that one.
Um, I want to talk about my favorite child that I had to abandon before we got to the finals was the Princess of the Forbidden World. I really just adored this. The writing was good, the adventure was solid. This is one of the ones where I had mentioned it before. Like I was reading it, I was going through it. It was one of the earlier ones that I read. It's probably one of the first like six that I read, I think. And then we just had that moment of hitting the here's a hand drawn map that I have put in my otherwise like excellently laid out thing in a way that felt like the GM has drawn this out and is bringing this to present it to his friend. It really hit that early play vibe just so strongly. I love the themes. I love the writing. It was really excellent. So it's Princess of the Forbidden World. I love that one. One of the finalists that Sam and I both really liked that we haven't talked about yet was the Indigo Illusionist by Josh Hiddy. I'm a fucking Josh Hiddy stan. Josh has a standing print offer with +1. It was good that I didn't review it, but I was really excited to see it make it to the finals. It's super compact, super accessible. Hits the themes really well. It's using an indigo purple like theme through the entire thing for it. It's really excellently done also too. And so that's another one I would be remiss to not shout out if you haven't had a chance to go check it
Yeah,
out.
Yeah, that one. One of the things I really like about a dungeon, I'm gonna say a word that's gonna make you think negative, but actually it's positive. Dungeons with good gimmicks.
Mm.
And I think this one where there's like this like sleeping gas everywhere that you have to find ways of avoiding gave it a real like the floor is lava kind of energy that was really really strong and it just felt like it'd be a really fun dungeon to run. The map was really it was really well done for how like simply it was laid out. I at first was like, I don't know if this is going to work, but like in the process of navigating it, trying to sort of like run the adventure in my head for myself, like I think it was a really good one.
Hmm.
Josh's eye for layout, in addition to their design skill, is really tremendous. Like I
Yeah.
say this as somebody who sells their games, but specifically like when we take their games to events and people see them, there's one called Into the Riverlands. There's nothing particularly exciting about the cover. Like it's a river in the background and some titling over the front. It gets picked up over and over and over again, and people love it. And the number one thing people will say is like, "Oh, this is just what I need." But Layers of Unreality is wild. Deathgrind Megastructure is wild. Like Josh does really tremendous visual design work that really complements the adventure writing style that we have. So it's just a really amazing parent talent.
Hmm. Oh, that color theming is so good.
Yeah, it's
It's really good.
so
You
good.
don't get sick of purple while you're
Yeah.
looking at it, which is
No.
impressive because purple's kind of an easy color to get sick of if you look at it too long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Uh, some of the ones I wanted to mention, the Hanging Halberd. Speaking of maps, the dungeon map for the Hanging Halberd is like a Looney Tunes. It's wild. It's amazing. I love it so much. It's like full page, wild perspective stuff going on, cartoony, very very cool. Highly recommend that one. The Null Conclave made it into the judges picks. That one again, it that was another great, like, this has the theme of an Appendix N. Like, this could be a Clark Ashton Smith story. It nails it. It's spooky. It's like really really well laid out, very clear, nice, easy to run type of thing. I like that one a lot. Thunder
Oh
Speakers
yeah.
of Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I really like that's the one that you go through backwards.
Yep.
And yeah, no, that's a great little Shadow Dark adventure. Definitely check that one out.
Thunder Speakers of, I think it's Peugeot is how you pronounce it. Really cool map on the cover, and really interesting sort of use of zodiac stuff in that. That was very creative.
Yeah.
That was really neat. Gosh, there's just, I mean, I really want to underscore here that there are so many good entries. Oh my God. It was extremely hard to decide what were going to be first and second place.
and we even talked about this. There are ones that are mind-boggling did not make it to our finals. Like I think it's a real testament that like there are people who this is their jobby job day in day out, like where they do this a lot on a professional level, like whose stuff did not make it to the finals. And we have people I have never been introduced to in their design career, some of whom only have this one title uploaded on Itch, so maybe their first thing ever that made it to the finals. It was really cool to see the breadth of stuff that made it and how great things that didn't make it were. Like I think it's a testament to the overall skill of and amazing ideas that came out of the community.
Um, Jordan, I don't want to make you talk, but
No,
were
I
there any specific ones that you
I
wanted
just
to
want
bring
to
up?
mention Tidebreakers of Neptune.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
They completely drew and hand wrote everything and then scanned the page, and I was very drawn and tickled to this about the amount of effort that went in, and it looks 90s zine, and it felt
I was gonna
so
say.
good.
I take everything back. This is my favorite one.
Never mind. Hey, whoever won before, let's
No,
Or
it's this
just
one.
throw that
Like,
one out.
I
This
really,
one
it's
out.
so, I love that it's a giant trident that's like the castle. Like, there's so many things to love about this one. And yeah, it's just like, I love that art more than I love so many, much more like quote unquote professionally done pieces of art. Like, I think you have to acknowledge the charm of something like that. And it's just, yeah, it's just sick. It's so cool.
Nice.
And a little
Okay.
comic. It was so good.
The
Yeah.
comic is great.
It's so good.
Anyway, it was really good.
So let's talk briefly about our audience pick, which is the Knight Errant. I think, Sam, you were when we were talking about this earlier, and you sort of alluded to this earlier when we were talking about Umbriel's Monitor, is just that there were a couple of modules that really combined the science fiction and fantasy extremely effectively. And this was probably the one that did that the best, question mark, maybe? Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
And obviously people like it because it was voted audience pick. So that's congratulations, guys. It's great.
Yeah.
It was one of those, it was that module, I think we were talking about it, where we were like, oh yeah, this is audience pick, so we can't make it one of our picks. But if it had not been audience pick, it probably would have been a contender for a winner of this whole contest.
I mean, I specifically said I feel like if this hadn't been audience pick, we'd be fighting a lot less about
Yeah, right?
what number one was. It is tremendous. Isaac just did a killer job. Isaac and I have communicated about this already. I don't know who offered to publish an expanded version of this, but by the time I offered to publish an expanded version of this, somebody else had already made that offer. So I'm very excited to see what ends up coming out of this. Isaac and their creative partner have tremendous talent, both in the visual design, the writing, like all this comes together so well, like clearly deserving of audience.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. Do we want to do it? Let's do our second place.
Yeah, we do second place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, wait, before we get to that, I do want to say, hey, if you are winning one of these 3 coveted awards, we need to give money to you. So please make sure that you can, this is through PayPal. This money is going to be sent, and Jordan is going to need contact info from you. So we'll try to reach out to these people individually, but if you're in chat or whatnot, just feel free to reach out to us so that Jordan can get your contact info and send that over to you, because, we got to get you the prize. You won the prize. You deserve it. But okay. So, second place. Should we do a drum roll? Can we do a drum roll? Will Zoom just cut that?
We want to build
say,
tension and talk about something else first.
No, we're so low on time. We really shouldn't, should we?
I'm gonna go get a drink. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Jordan needs some cough medicine.
Do you want me to just cut the stream right now?
Oh yeah.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, and the winner is no, it's done.
JP has entered the chat.
Oh, JP.
Let's catch everything up for JP real quick.
Let's recap the last hour of the broadcast. And again, I almost feel bad having to have picked these winners, because I'm just like, there are so many that we didn't even mention in this stream that are amazing. And I don't want to feel like, I don't know, it feels bad to disappoint the people who are hoping they would win,
I mean, I think everybody has been really delighted by this whole process. And at this point, I think there's been here's the thing I will say. There were some people who were sour grapes in this early on because of like peer review or other people's feedback or where they ranked. Stop that. Like that's brain rot that gets you nowhere. Like celebrate your wins, but celebrate your friends' wins and the community's wins also too. Like if something didn't do as well as you thought it was going to do, like explore why. Like we've talked a lot about what we loved, and it's also you could have something that's excellent that did not make it into the finals. And I will throw out too, like it is wild that that Clay and Ryan Leach's entries, the curve Humpback Cove and the return to Atlantis. I'm missing
Invaders of Atlantis and Curs of the Humpback Coast.
Like tremendous, outstanding, amazing, professional quality work. They weren't in the finals. It is mind blowing that they weren't. And so like there is no negative for you not winning. There is only positive for the community having a million great adventures coming out of it.
Totally. Okay, so now Sam's back. Let's announce our second place winner, which is okay. The Eternal Empress by Amanda P.
Yeah. Play Amanda's theme in the background. Amanda, go ahead and chat some things into chat since you're here as your acceptance speech.
Yeah,
We'll wait
please.
for
Yeah,
that.
please give us your acceptance speech.
I don't remember who originally reviewed this one, because I know it wasn't me. Was it one of y'all, or was it?
Wasn't me.
You what?
Was not me.
Was not me. None of us. However, I loved it from the get-go. It was one of my, in the finalist, it was one of my like top ones. Again, I want to shout out like great presentation on Karen, amazing, strong writing and prose, good visuals. This is one of the few that we saw that had full broad, like across the entire page, A5 layout. But Amanda's real focus on the writing and the adventure, which Amanda is so good at, like really carried this one all the way up. Like it is incredibly good. It is it's got some really some really chewy elements in it, but it's all really incredibly well presented, and was near the top of my list the entire time.
Chewy is an interesting choice of words considering the content that we find in a lot of this, but it's creepy. There's a lot of creepy, gross skin. There's a lot of skin. Ooh,
I really appreciate something with this much horror for the Appendix N, because the Appendix N is a lot of pulp, and I think horror is one of the cornerstones of pulp. I think this is great horror. I think this is really well executed horror. I think it's also a really good extraction module in which the goal is to get some people out of a place, which much like I was saying before, like with the giant head in Gretel's Grasp, or with the smoke or the sleeping fog or something like that, like a really good early hook where it's like, this is what you're doing, everybody understands it right away. So much of, I think, what makes a strong module is like being able to early on communicate to the players like what they are doing in a way that is like hooks them in easily and like makes everything feel easy to like parse and understand. Like you're not saying like, oh, you have to like really understand this world to understand your purpose in it. Like, no, there is a crazy freak that's doing bad stuff and you need to rescue some people from the crazy freak is like people latch onto that pretty easily.
This is, I want to say, about theme. We talked about a lot of themed modules and that had strong theming, like the Indigo Illusionist and some others. And this one probably, in my mind, best walked that line of being like, okay, you have a very strong theme, but it's not the same thing over and over and over again hitting you onto the head. It's like that perfect blend between it's consistent and it's not too much, but it's also not all over the place. And that's really hard to do. There are like I read a lot of modules that tried to do that. I read a lot of professional modules that try to do that, and it is hard to do. And this did it really, really well. So yeah.
There's a giant drum made of human skin and it rules.
It does rule. Could
Really
deafen you. If you walk on it too hard, it hurts you because you go deaf from all the drumming.
It's so good. It's so good. Folks, pick it up.
Yeah.
It's I mean, with the caveat that it's gross. Some people this might not be their thing. Okay, there's a lot of
horrible
skin.
in that
it's
way.
horror. Yeah.
Know your players.
This is very much R-rated, but if that's something you're cool with, this is a great module.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we announce the number one person, because we just got to keep on building tension, can we show the cover of the anthology we're going to be building? Is that all right?
Oh yeah, now's a good time to show that.
Yeah. Build a little bit more tension before number one. So we are going to try to do a couple print anthologies with things from this. We're going to start with people who won and were highly rated by the community or were in judges finalists, along with some hand selected ones by the organizing crew. So we will be reaching out to folks about that process and all those things. It's totally optional inclusion. There's no signing over of your intellectual property. You will maintain ownership of your thing. We just want to put a bunch of them together in print and digital and create a release that can go out to people. But we hired Sam Amelli to do a cover of the 2 different compendiums we're hoping to do, a volume 1 and a volume 2 from this year's Appendix. And Sam, you want to talk a little bit about the art that's up on the screen?
Yeah, I really wanted to lean into sort of a little bit of like slightly weird vanilla fantasy for this, and also a deep love that I hold for text on pulp novel covers, and so I tried to do both of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It turned out really well. It was really great working with Sam on the cover. We're gonna have Nova write some reflections that'll go in each one also too, so that we can have more of the judges kind of have some input and some voice in it as well. And we'll find other ways for some of the other judges to be able to contribute. Even maybe some of our own list of titles we'd love you to check out that may not be in there. Plus, one will also short link to everything, so you can go find the digitals as well. Which knight from Mythic Bastionland is that? That's a great. It's the spike knight is what it looks like. I don't know. Sam, you got an answer for that?
I would love to tell you that I've read Mythic Bastionland. I haven't yet.
If you go to ttrpg.link/Bastionland, or /mythic, it'll take you straight to that, or Electric Bastionland restocking.
The problem is that I was reading 45 some odd adventures for this, so
yeah,
I haven't had a chance to get to my pile.
I didn't give you any time. I just saw that Quinn's had done a video on it, so I'm like, oh, that's too mainstream. I can't read it now. I'm not interested.
Oh my gosh, right? That we have nightmares in the warehouse about that video. I will give out numbers, like just total units. So we were in the middle of fulfilling 3,500 U.S., Canadian, and other parts of the world orders, and we had another 3,000 come in within the week and a half to 2 weeks around that video. Also, too, it was a lot. It's great. It's great for everybody involved. It was we have nightmares about that video. Can't wait for another future review of a title from us, from Quinn's. But it's super excited to put this together. If people want to make minor adjustments, they can. There's a couple people we might even say, hey, can you take 2 extra pages over the next couple weeks to try to give it a little bit more breathing space, because text might be a little bit too small. So we may make a couple of adjustments, but my hope would be that we are putting 8 4-page adventures in each one of these, along with about 2 additional pages from the judges. So about 44 pages or 44 sides overall, including the covers for each one. And I'm going to reach out to a few of the people who did pamphlets about printing a pamphlet to go with each one and have a nice full set. We will probably just identify a charity that the money is going to, and we'll work with the organizing team and folks about that. But if you have a suggestion for where you think that money should go, please let us know. But 8-way profit shares would be a nightmare to manage. So we'd rather just see the money go do something good in the games community. So reach out if you have ideas about that, or we'll work with the organizing community and make sure that's well communicated across the board. I'm hoping to have them out by PAX. So we'll be reaching out to people real quick and pulling all that stuff together.
Yeah, this is cool. It's going to be very cool to see a lot of these in print. I'm super excited. Okay, so the moment you've all been waiting for, the last prize, the #1 winner of the Appendix N Itch Jam 2025 is The Eldritch Staff by Michael C. Madsen.
Bum, ba, ba, bum, ba, ba, ba.
Music.
Yeah. Does it really feels like we need like some sort of fanfare.
I should have programmed some. Yeah, I should have picked some like music stuff. Next time I'll run OBS and I'll have a bunch of like sound effects and stuff. We won't make Jordan do everything while he's sick. But okay, so the Eldritch Staff. Wow, this is cool. Okay, for a number of reasons. You want to talk about something that feels like it would have been in the Appendix N? This 100%. It's got the weird fantasy stuff going on. It's got some surreal stuff going on. It's got imagery that I really like. It's got the skull, staff, crystals. It's great. There's really great encounters. They use the cover as a map in probably the most creative way of, I think, anybody who did cover as map. It's adventurers getting sucked into a wizard staff. There's mechanics for the crystal breaking. It's great. Hey. Oh, it's so long. So long. so late and so long. Uh, and yeah, no, this the encounters are all so much fun. It's so cool. I like this adventure a lot. Okay, what do other people think about it?
It was great. We kept on coming back to this one. Like this is one like of the situation where like there was really true like high execution on every aspect that we were looking at that was in this. And that's really what put it at the top for us at the end of the day. Because I think everybody had their favorites. Everybody had like, oh, this is what really speaks to me, or here's the thing that really stands out about this. And what we kept on coming back to for this one was like, yeah, but everything about this one is just so good. And I could see putting this down on a table, having a lot of fun with it, playing through it. And it's easy to navigate. Like the layout's doing an interesting thing. That cover is doing so much heavy lifting as an art piece. Like just really tremendous execution across the entire thing.
I just think sometimes you can measure an adventure by the story of how you died in it. And I'm just imagining somebody, trying to relate, like, oh man, yeah, we played D&D the other night. Oh, geez. Yeah, my character died. We were inside the crystal in a wizard's staff, and I got eaten by an infinite worm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, yeah, that's
Amazing.
dope. Like this, I feel like I really like a little bit of nonsense. I think this there's the right kind of nonsense in this. I think it adheres to its theme and also leaves a lot of room for this sort of inherent wackiness that comes from that theme. And yeah, I just think for me, it was like one of the best blends of, I mean, it's got this incredible art, it's got really good layout, it's a very runnable dungeon for like how like sort of crazy it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like the kind of dungeon that like you could easily die in, but you could also make it to the end of. And I don't know, it's got that sort of eldritch is the word literally on the front page, but it's got a really good sense of like sort of that blending of like fantasy and horror and it's sort of pulpy adventure that just like really spoke to me. I know, and the rest of us too. So
Yeah, Malachi called it out in chat, but also the hook on this one, like you pick up, like this is one that you put in a dungeon that's also very difficult, and then they pick up the staff of power at the end, and then bam, they're in another fucking dungeon with no time to like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good ways to just drop this in anywhere, and like one of my moderate takes was like, tell me what the fuck we're doing in the place that you put me, and that can be like a sandbox adventure for adventures level 1 through 4. That is actually a substantial amount of information. But this one like really lives on the like this is a dungeon wherever you need it to be. Because if you tell people there's a weird staff, eventually someone's going to pick it up because they're going to want to do something with it, and you're a meta dungeon.
Yeah.
Any
I
oh,
love Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I know this is
yes.
system neutral, but it just screamed TCC to me, and I immediately wanted to play it with Dungeon Crawl Classics. So
yeah, it's definitely got a DCC vibe to it. It is it's for the people that are like cautiously prodding everything with their 10-foot poles and their crowbars and things like that. And it's yeah, it's a really good example of that play style, I think.
So yeah, very amazing, perfect example of a weird fiction dungeon. As it was said in chat, psychedelic. Oh, so good, love it. But again, we loved so many of these, and picking these two for first and second place were extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there were so many good entries in this jam.
I'm
It's
I'm not
so
I'm
good.
not gonna hide the fact that at one point we literally were like, let's roll dice and see what
Yeah,
happens.
no, we did.
And that is not how we finally.
That's
By
not
the way,
how we
that is
got
not the final
these.
decision. But
It
what
was a moment of desperation.
Lex's
Yeah.
response was the reason I always think it's helpful to roll dice. And Lex, when we rolled the dice, we got a certain combination, one of which was one of the finalists, but was already high on people's lists. They all were. Um, but Lex, your response of I rolled the dice and this is what they said, but my heart knows that's not true. And I love the fact that that is a thing that rolling dice tells you. Sometimes it says this is what you're doing, and sometimes it clarifies, no, I really just want to pick this fucking thing right
Yeah.
here. And I do think that was a really helpful exercise for us to go through because it let us immediately know how we felt about certain things. And it really got us over that last hump also. So
To Bad Quill Games thing in chat about will the full list of finalists be published? I think we were talking about that maybe even earlier on the stream, but definitely before stream. You were thinking of maybe putting it in the appendix and books just in the back.
So we will start with. I mean, I think we can go ahead and probably publish the list because I think it's good for people to help here.
Sure.
What our list of 10 was, I
Mhm.
think, would be good to just publish for posterity. And that's also who I will be reaching out to first about putting in the anthology. We will if all those end up, they will be listed. If one of those decides they don't want to be published because they don't have to, then it'll probably end up on some of our lists. So we'll probably have some judges lists and other information included in there also too that'll have that. But I think there's zero reason for us as judges to make sure we all agree on that top 10 list and then
Sure.
put that out also too, because it's a great way to inform and celebrate those creators also. I would love to also see other people's lists. Like I would love to see other people go through and say, here were the 3 that stood out to me. Here were the 10 that stood out to me. Here,
Please
I
do
think that's a
that.
huge part of the beauty of the meta theme of Appendix N is we're all kind of building our own as we go. Somebody else asked the important question of, will this be a yearly jam? I don't know if you want to dive into that right now, Lex, or not. But I also know that we did say we were going to mention our own personal Appendix Ns, like an entry that you would have in your own personal Appendix N at the end. And I do want to remember that as we go back through. I can go first, and it literally the answer is any book I could buy for 20, any science fantasy book I could buy for 25 cents at the Allen Public Library is in my personal Appendix N. That is overwhelmingly where I sourced as a library kid. If I could buy it for 25 cents and take it home and put it on my ratty little trade paperback shelf, I couldn't tell you the names of some books that I think about all the time that I may have read 2 or 3 in a series of because I bought them all at the public library for 25 cents. They were getting retired, some of them for very good. Sam, you got an Appendix N entry. Oh, I also want to shout out one more, and that's Meat Castle Games, where Pawns of the Mind Master. That's my other Appendix N entry that hasn't been celebrated enough. Pawns of the Mind Master fucking rips. So if you have another last minute love that you want to toss out, do that also too.
Appendix N, I'm gonna list a relatively new addition to it, but something that's been living in my head really strongly recently is The Black Tongue Thief and The Daughter's War. It's a series by Christopher Bullman. Really good fantasy for D&D enjoyers. Highly recommend it. Very cool. Really just great sort of dark fantasy stuff. Yeah.
So I'm gonna do an Appendix N. I'm a big movie guy. I mean, I love books, obviously. I concepted and ran this freaking jam. But but I think movies, especially weird movies, don't get shouted enough. And I'm gonna shout out Unico and In the Island of Magic from 1983. Anime. Weird. So weird. Jordan played a campaign a while back with a very strange sorcerer guy, and I basically just lifted a ton of stuff from Unico and the Island of Magic for that. But yeah, it's weird. Go watch it. It's free. You can watch it on YouTube. So highly recommend. But in terms of other titles that we hadn't talked about that I just want to shout out, Agents of the Gilded Palm, amazing, so good. Five Fates of Estrazo, also so cool.
I think Scavenger's Reign, the TV show, the animated TV show, really blew me away, and that would be my Appendix N. And I'll leave it at that. You should all check out Scavenger's Reign. Super sci-fi fantasy weird. And I don't think I have any other shout outs I want to do as I'm falling asleep at my desk, but
Oh my gosh, Yokai has watched Unico and has it on DVD. Of course, of course. All right, but cool. All right, I think that wraps it up. think that's it. That's the whole thing. So, oh, and on the topic of am I going to do this again next year? Probably. There's a lot of logistics I need to figure out, but man, let me tell you, nothing like learning how to run a jam than being like, I'll do a small jam and then having like an intense amount of interest in it. There's so many lessons that I've come away with.
I do want to say, like, part of this whole process, like, everything took a little bit longer than expected because there was way more interest in this than I think any of
Yeah.
us predicted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so thank you everybody for doing that, but also fuck you everybody for doing that.
Yeah.
So much to read.
Yeah, if y'all could have kept it down to a nice, like, tight, like 50 titles, this would have been really easy for all of us
Yeah,
to
it would have
do.
been really cool if you had all done just a little bit less cool creative work for the scene.
Yeah.
Can't wait till there's 3 times as many next year.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Lex is going to have to start writing his titles probably like
Well,
right
we
after
already
the stream ends.
got one, and that's what is it? Yohagal and the unending press of flesh. Is that not? That's the
Oh,
name of the.
no. No.
That's the one. That's the title that Sam threw out right before we went live.
Listen, we speak of the unending press of flesh a lot.
Okay.
But if you have an idea for a title, please message Lex now, so we
Yeah.
can start community sourcing those.
There will be definitely some community sourcing next year. But yeah, I'll get into that later when I have more time. But there will probably be an Appendix N 26. Keep your eyes peeled for that, because this has been great and really cool to see. And I can't wait to see this kind of like really great community togetherness and supporting of people again. And I would keep doing this every year as long as I just get to keep seeing that. But yeah. Okay. Thanks everybody. Thanks people who participated. Thanks people who are watching. Thank you judges for handling all this stuff and signing on to do this. Yeah, and thanks Jordan for running this stream while you were sick.
You're
We really
welcome.
Yeah.
All right, take care, everybody. Thank you again for watching.